Hello, family and friends. Pastor Matthew Baker here. Well, today I am in the book of Esther, chapter 4. And the backstory to this, the person I want to talk to is actually the title of the book, Esther. A person who was born into captivity, born as a foreigner in a foreign land, soon became an orphan and was adopted and became a family member of a man named Mordecai. And there was need of a queen, and the king Ahasuerus started to gather all the beautiful virgins of the land, and they took Esther from Mordecai and placed her in the palace, where she did become queen. She went from being a foreigner in a foreign land, in captivity, an orphan, to become a family member, and then a family member unto becoming the queen of Medo-Persia. And she's the queen of Medo-Persia, and there's a plot to kill all the Jews in the land. And Mordecai, her adopted father, finds out about this because there's a decree in the land. Everybody knows it. And we're going to find out, we're going to start in chapter 4, verse 1, and it says, when Mordecai perceived all that was done, that's the proclamation to kill the Jews on a certain day, he rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud voice a bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. Nobody got to get close to the king's palace who was having a bad day. The king didn't want to have any bad news. So bad news wasn't allowed in the palace. He says, and in every province wheresoever the king's commandment and his decrees came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. This was all over the country. People were mourning and wailing and weeping, and there was a loud cry all through the land. Verse 4, so Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told Esther, and told it to Esther. He says, then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther for Mordecai Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. Isn't this interesting? The king's palace, when people came to the king's palace, you did not enter into the gate if you were in sackcloth and ashes, if you were mourning, if you were having a bad time. No bad news was allowed near the palace. And there's a couple of things going on here. You know, I find it also interesting, I know I use that word a lot, interesting that Esther didn't even know what was going on. She had to send people out to find out what was going on. And she tried to change Mordecai's raiment, his clothing, as if that was what the problem was. You know, sometimes we try to ease people's pain in a very superficial way, or we just want to ignore the fact that they're either having a bad day or they're mourning a loss, and we just want everything to be better, so we give them clothes, we give them things to try to make it better instead of trying to find out what the issue is. And then it says she sent her people out to ask him why this was happening, what the problem was. Esther had been so pampered, so protected, been made so prosperous that she had forgotten her people. We, as God's people, cannot afford to become so pampered, so prosperous, or so protected that we forget what's happening out in the world. Hope you enjoyed this. I know I did. God bless you.